That's pretty cool. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to 4K Motoring. I'm Chris, and today we've got a Ducati video for you. This is something I've been saying I wanted to do for a while now, ever since Ducati has won the championship, both the MotoGP Rider Championship, Constructor Championship, and Team Championship, as well as World Superbike this year. I wanted to do something special for a 2022 Multistrada. I ordered this over a month ago, and it finally arrived. So let's go ahead and get the bike cleaned up, and let me show you what I got. So I ordered a kit from, I believe, Germany, and it is specifically for the 2021 up Multistrada V4 line. And what it contains is a set of vinyl cutouts for the bike to change the overall appearance of the bike. This is pre-cut for the bike. It's supposed to basically change all the surfaces on it to have a pretty cool overall look, at least from the website. We're going to go ahead and install it, see how difficult it is to install, and see how good it looks in person. So what we have is this simple kit. Was a couple $100, and I'll link the website down in the description below. When we go ahead and pull it out, what it shows us is this design is what we're going for. So we can see it's all pre-cut, it's all made for this bike. So we're going to go ahead, see how the instructions are, and hopefully get this done. What the website said was that this kit is a foil-based pre-cut kit, and it's using a type of adhesive that they say is really resistant to having bubbles underneath it. Makes the application really easy. If you have to take it off and put it back on, apparently it's supposed to be doable without damaging anything. That's what they claim on the website. We're going to go ahead and give it a try. I did order a kit from Amazon for vinyl application. This is not traditional vinyl, doesn't require cutting, so hopefully we won't need a lot of that, but we do have it just in case. Again, I'll link that down below. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what it contains. So the instructions are all in German. Courtesy of my Google Pixel 6, I've placed the translations here on the video so you can see what it recommends. It does say that for newcomers, especially for bigger pieces, pre-spray them with a mix of soapy water. That way you can kind of move the stickers around just like you would with normal vinyl. But it says it's not required. The type of adhesive they use creates a little bit of airspace underneath it. That way the bubbles can just work themselves out. It is not something that captures bubbles, but it does say that for the repositioning, you might need that, and also might need a heat gun for some of the curves just to make sure it lays down right. They do recommend a minimum of 68 degrees. It is the first day of December in North Carolina. It's a 55, almost 60 degree day, and we are in the sun, so I'll make sure wherever I'm working is directly in the sun at the time. Hopefully we're getting that surface temperature that is that 68 degrees, which I think we can manage. What it does recommend for the actual visor, the front part of the bike, is to remove just the windshield components from the bike, the upper windshields. And that is a pretty easy thing, just requires a T25 Torx bit, and those come right off, and that should make that part easier. We'll start with that just to see how they turn out. And the rest of the bike should be able to stay pretty well intact. We'll probably take the saddlebags off just to do those, and it should be that easy. Well, we've definitely got a good start going here. We've gotten most of the front done, and this is pretty easy to work with overall. Like they said, it's pretty easy to put on and take off. Its cut is pretty good. It is pretty well cut for this bike. Not a whole lot of issues with it. I did have a little issue with the windshield itself, and I'll come over here and show you when I put that on. And part of it's my fault, part of it is the design itself. The windshield, the cutout for the little vent in there that helps with buffeting, that wasn't cut out of this particular pattern. And I had a little issue putting that on. So it looks a little ugly there in the middle. I'm going to try and cut that out a little bit more evenly so it looks a little bit more flush. What I found is that you really do need the soapy water to put this stuff on. There are so many contours on this bike, it is very hard to get it first try on there. What I did is I just took a spray bottle, and they say about a quarter teaspoon of dish soap mixed with water, and spray it on. It seems to be working really well. I use a heat gun as well to help soften up the material. Again, it's a little cold today, colder than is recommended to put this on. We are in the sun, so we're probably about the minimum, and I'm definitely having to use the heat gun to make sure it applies correctly. So far it's been going pretty well. Check out the progress. Definitely going to give this bike a little bit more of a unique look, a little bit more custom, and something I really like. I didn't like how the front beak on the V4S wasn't painted, unlike my old 2015. This allows the front to get a little bit of color and a little bit more contour. I really like it so far. The vinyl wrapping was definitely more time consuming than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a little bit easier kit to install, but it really is more true to typical vinyl wrapping than anything else. It is pre-cut pieces, so you don't have to worry about, you know, cutting pieces around edges, but otherwise it lays down like you would do with any other piece of vinyl, any other vinyl wrap. If you guys have ever tried anything like this, let me know. I'd love to hear what you've done. If you found anything else for the Multistrada V4 specifically, I'd love to hear about it and I'd love to see it, because I think this is one of the few kits that I actually found for the whole bike. There's very little out there for it at this point, and I think it looks pretty cool. I ended up coming into the garage to finish up the bike. It was getting dark outside really quickly, and the sun going down made it really cold. This stuff was really hard to work with. When they say the minimum of 20 degrees Celsius or about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, that really is a major point to this vinyl, or really any vinyl. Came in the garage where I was able to get the heat on in here and warm it up a little bit. Became a whole lot easier to work with. Wasn't a whole lot to it to film for you guys. The basic process, even though they advertise this is supposed to be used with, you know, put it on dry is what they recommend and it'll be bubble free. That wasn't my experience. It's very complicated with so many curves and different shapes to this bike. So what I ended up doing with every piece was use the spray. Again, the 1/4 teaspoon dish soap and water. Put that in a little spray bottle, extra chemical gas spray bottle that I had. That was great. I have this kit, as I showed you, from Amazon. Again, this cart was pretty cool because I was able to keep everything right there near me. If you don't have a cart in your garage, you just have a toolbox, the cart's really needed. So I used the cart and I used this little kit that had kind of all these, I'm sure not professional grade, but at least for amateur or occasional work, vinyl stuff, and that proved to be very handy for this bike. I got a lot of use out of that. Seemed to do pretty well with just about everything I needed for this bike. And then of course, you need a heat gun. Doesn't have to be a super fancy one, but you need a heat gun to work this stuff really to get a good result. And there was definitely a learning curve as I started to apply it. Overall, this kit was cut really well. Most pieces were very symmetrical. There's minor differences. There's a couple little gaps, maybe a couple little bubbles on corners in a couple spots, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. One thing you do need to decide to do beforehand, if you want to, the badging that's on the bike, all the things that stick up, the Italian flag symbol below the gas tank, the Ducati and Multistrada badges on the side of the bike. If you want a really clean install, those have to come off. I really wanted to eventually be able to take this vinyl off if I needed to, so I left those on. You can kind of see them underneath. It's not a big deal, but they are there. So without further ado, here it is. This kit was pretty complete. It did come with 2 different variations of the front fender, which I thought was a little bit odd, and it came with 2 sets of these upper bag portions, not the lower, but the uppers. And I know it's kind of complex as far as the curves go, so I don't know if that's the reason. I looked at trying to fit some of them to the top case. They don't really fit that well. I might do something to kind of bring that in, but those don't really fit that. I'm not sure why there's 2 sets of those included, but overall, I think it turned out pretty well, and everything was pre-cut better than I expected. Obviously some edges still have some wrinkles in them. There was definitely a learning curve as I began doing this. It did lay down better over time. Little tail. This side had kind of some odd cuts that the other side didn't. Got the heat gun a little too close there as I was trying to get some bubbles out, and that did a little bit of melting. And with that, I want to say thanks for watching, guys. Again, I'm Chris. This is 4K Motoring. Really appreciate you guys taking time to watch the channel. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Like I said, if you guys have done anything like this before, let me know. I'd love to hear some other options for the Multistrada V4, but I think this one's pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.